Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome to a fun and flirty Monday edition of SJU. Um, Grab your appleteenies, girls. We're talking Suicide Squad, and we've got a whole bunch of other news, some ObiWan series news, some video game movie news, some George R. Martin checkups to come by the end of the episode. But I'm here with Danielle, and I'm here with Eric, and we're here to talk about one thing and one thing only. That is the trailer for the Suicide Squad. Don't get it twisted. This one has a "the" in front of its name, so it's completely different. I watched it a couple times this morning. I have mild amounts of hype that's hard to separate from the fact that Steely Dan is finally making its debut in a comic book universe. I'd prefer something off of maybe Countdown to Ecstasy instead of Can't Buy a Thrill. And, we haven't yet heard Donald Fagen's vocals. They did a rare Walter Becker cut. That's fine. I'm getting off track. What do you guys think of the Suicide Squad first trailer for the Suicide Squad? First reactions. Make a face that we can put on a thumbnail.
Danielle, go for it.
Yeah, Danielle,
So
show me the reaction face.
Hold on.
Oh, okay, a thinker.
The old
Yeah,
JT movie thing.
It's a little bit of a thinker. I'm already pumped for this movie. The trailer seemed like it was a little bit like we're gonna do Red Band, so ooh, we get to be naughty. Like it felt some of that. I'm gonna just admit, like in the trailer's not the movie. Some of it was like, okay, we get it. You're edgy. Okay, we get it. It's James Gunn, which doesn't like lessen my excitement because I'm very excited to watch this, but it hit me as a little edgelordy for my tastes.
I would say my one sentence review of the trailer would be, oops, just Deadpools.
Yeah, it's Deadpool's all the way down.
Yeah.
And that's not what the movie is going to be. And I know you put in some of your best lines, but for this one, it was almost kind of like you didn't have to go this hard on all of that. We were already in it to win it. But
Okay.
yeah, so kind of on the trailer, like it didn't rock my socks off.
All right, but Eric, you look like your socks were
My socks
fully
were
rocked.
like partially rocked off.
Okay.
That's for sure.
One sock on, one sock off.
Yeah, one sock on, one sock off. No, I really dug the trailer. I thought it looked very fun. I mean, kind of what I expected from James Gunn Red Band Suicide Squad trailer. But definitely was giving me what I wanted. The Steely Dan thing is really funny because it must feel so powerful to be James Gunn and be like, I am going to make the youth like this now. And just like, choose whatever 70s music you want. But I thought it worked really well. I also really enjoy the fact, because I thought the Suicide Squad movie from 2016 was awful. And I actually really like the fact that so many returning characters, and that they're taking it and they're just like, okay, well, like, let's take everything you did see the setup wise and everything, and let's just go in our own direction with a different vibe, and kind of embrace the lunacy of it all. And I think there's something kind of cool about that. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of two minds about this because on one hand, it's like, say what you will about the Snyder Cut or whatever, but it was definitely different. It's different from Marvel movies and from the old Fox universe we got, and this felt more in line with something that you would get out of like an R-rated Marvel film. Everyone's joking about the plan and who's in charge and making quips like in a death-defying situation, but then it's like, James Gunn is so responsible for that. Like James Gunn's style has almost become like the Marvel house style. And it's like, if you look at his older movies, like he's been that guy all along. It's like, it's very quippy, but it's R-rated. There's lots of blood and gore. And then just like, whoa, extreme. They threw a giant starfish in there. Like you could throw a giant starfish in any of James Gunn's movies and it would fit.
Right.
So, it was cool. It was like, on one sense, like a little disappointing to see something after the Snyder Cut that's like, yeah, you could swap these out with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like an R-rated Guardians movie would have this same trailer, like down to the theme song, down to the old school rock choice. So, but at the same time, like James Gunn with the handcuffs taken off, like that's always fun, and I will always want more of that.
And I also think what Danielle said about there's going to be more to it, because because I'm rewatching all the MCU movies, so I just rewatched both Guardians movies, and he's also super sentimental to Gunn, and it's like Guardians 2 ends with like the space raccoon crying, and it's very heartfelt,
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like it's not gonna just be like, isn't it funny to watch them die? Like I think that there's gonna be more to it than that. This is how they're selling the movie, as like it's gonna be fun to watch them die, but I am curious to see, because he loves his characters, and
I'm assuming
he'll
Sean
get pretty
Gunn
hard.
is in some type of mocap suit as someone else, right?
He's Weasel.
gotta
He's
be.
Weasel.
That's what I,
Weasel.
yeah, he's
Okay.
Weasel.
Yeah,
All right, fair enough.
he's
And then,
looking he's looking that metal. Yeah.
yeah, any characters pop for you guys that you're the most excited to see?
I'm super excited to see John Cena as Peacemaker, and I know that like obviously it was so good that they're already planning to do John Cena's own series. Also, this is like a weird aside. Flag and Peacemaker look so alike in the face and in the way they deliver lines that it was very eerie for me. That's just those dudes' faces, like they can't
Yeah,
help
no, you
it.
need to give one of them an eye patch or something.
The helmet like works, but it's like no, it's still you're still twins to me. But yeah, so I would think that one Polka Dot Man, I mean, I feel like that's an easy death right there.
I think I predicted him to die first. And because we'll have to go back to our Suicide Squad death pool episode and count up. But that's only made him leader further in my mind that he's the first one to die. He wants to die. He's pleading for it. Please, somebody kill Polka Dot Man.
See, I will counter that. I think Polka Dot Man lasts a while. First of all, I'm excited for Polka Dot Man, but he's at least got that big action sequence with Harley. He's like leaping off the roof with her. So I feel like he's gonna last a while. I think the which character is Pete Davidson playing? He seems notable by how minimal he is in the trailers.
Yeah. He could be an early
So I
get.
think he'll be an early, but yeah, King Shark, obviously super
Yes.
fun, but Polka Dot Man, there is something about how just the lunacy of that character. And I do think they'll have him at least for a while in the movie, because it's just like a dude in polka dots. So why not? But I did want to ask you guys, didn't you think, I feel like there's no way Rick Flag makes it out of this movie alive. And they have that part where Bloodsport even says, or sorry, Cena says as Peacemaker to Bloodsport, like, you're the leader. So like, okay, this is probably after Rick Flag dies. Although I saw Gunn tweeted about how Rick Flag has a huge role, which is probably true, but I think he's just trying to make us not think he's gonna die.
I think like a midpoint or like beginning of Act 3, you kill off the guy that you thought was going to be.
Who had been the noble leader. Yeah.
I think I'm the most excited, along with the rest of the internet, for stuff like King Shark and stuff like Starro, the giant starfish kaiju, because like what do we make comic book movies if not for that? If not to watch an enormous shark eat another man, and have somebody spend $100 million making that look as good as possible.
And it's Stallone. How great is that?
Stallone, right?
It's Stallone? Oh my god, I didn't know that.
That's still, go back.
Frank Stallone?
Like Sylvester, he did it.
Okay, wow.
Once
That's
it's
cool,
in your
but
head,
I'll still take it. Yeah,
you
that's
won't be
great.
able to unsee it.
That's fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I think we're all super psyched. Even though for me it's like, okay, this isn't bringing me anything different, but it's bringing me the refined, cooked down, undiluted version of James Gunn, which I'm really excited to see. That's my final verdict. Any people in the comments, Ryan, anyone in the chat got some differing opinions or some stuff we missed?
I think some people are hyped for it. I know there's a couple people predicting that we're gonna get Devil Kazuya 27 and Edward Scales are predicting that we're gonna get a recreation of a Justice League cover that featured Starro, because Starro is a classic Justice League. I think one of their first, if not their first, villain that they face off as a team. So we'll probably get something like that, a play on that. And some people wondering if at CB could have used a more intelligent King Shark, maybe more like a Ron Funches take in the Harley Quinn show.
Well, I was gonna say
we've
got that,
Shark, for sure.
We've got the Harley Quinn show, which is fantastic and everyone should watch, and there is a great take on King Shark, but like, I don't know, it's maybe I'm biased, but it seems like a popular show, so like you kind of have to do something different.
Yeah, I saw Gunn say that they were developing this, before Harley Quinn came out. So the fact that they kind of look similar is just a coincidence. But yeah, I think we're, it's like these days we've talked about how DC has kind of embraced the multiverse and the fact that they have multiple versions of the same character running around. So why not like have the Stallone dumb version versus the Ron Funches very funny articulate version? There's room for all the King Sharks, right?
Yeah, I mean, you say multiverse, and I will say this as an insult. It looks like if this takes place in the same universe as the Snyderverse, that only the Flash would belong. You could only have them interact with the Flash. Maybe Aquaman on a good day, like on one of his good days. Could they cross paths? And yeah, so this will be the first one out, right? Post Snyder Cut.
Yeah, August. Yeah.
Wow, and no indication that there's that. Although technically, like Harley is in the same DCEU as Batfleck, right?
Yeah, yeah. And now she's been jumping around, right, from like the grimy Suicide Squad to Birds of Prey was doing its own thing. So Harley's, many levels of the Margot Robbie Harley, which I enjoy.
Yeah, definitely like the Deadpool, and like this is the thing that stays and is the bridge between some of these other things.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it all comes together. Right now, man, it's like chocolate and peanut butter. James Gunn and the Suicide Squad. I can't wait. Can't wait to devour it. Like King Shark, like Sylvester Stallone and some poor extra. Sounds
Steve
like
Agee did the mocap, who's also in the movie. So he did the mocap for King Shark, and then also is playing the guy at the chair for Amanda Waller.
Oh, so Stallone is like the Vin Diesel.
Yes.
Sean Gunn. Yeah, it's like Steve Agee is the Sean Gunn, and Stallone.
We're gonna get the video of Stallone saying like, "I just ate a human" in like 70 different languages, like that video of Vin Diesel when they showed him saying "I am Groot" in every language, like on the planet. Or whatever.
Yeah, Steve Agee. Okay, I mean, look, he's very funny. I never need to see that character again in a film of like. I know like Marvel movies in general, like there's a lot of audience stand-in characters who are like kind of meta commenting on it, but literally a guy who's watching the movie with you, like that guy in Jurassic World, who's like literally watching the movie and turns to you, the audience, and says, "Isn't this awesome? What's happening? This is crazy." Like, cut that guy. Cut him out. No.
I want you cast as that guy now.
Yeah, you did great.
Do you believe what just happened? Like, shut up. Don't tell me how to feel.
I will say, as a big fan of gory stuff, I saw James Gunn had a tweet about the part where King Shark tears the dude in half.
I like that.
And how that's a CG King Shark, of course, but a practical effect guy being torn in half. They did on set.
That's
like,
great.
that must have been a fun day, right?
It's come on, you have these huge budgets. Like, take the time to make a human blood bag and rip it apart. Like,
exactly.
Don't waste.
Why did you get
into
filmmaking if not to do that? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. I don't think there's too much more to digest because, like all good Suicide Squad trailers, it's really just rock and roll and people dying. So I'm sure they'll release 100 more TV spots that ruin all the plot, and we'll be back to digest every one of those.
Sure.
Thank you for watching to this point. Please hit subscribe, hit like, hit the bell, ring a ding dong that bell, and you will never miss another video from us again. Or if you do, that's on you. You're not a real fan. Okay, segment 2. We've got a bunch more news. We got a bunch more news to round up for you. We have a bunch more. We have the full cast of the ObiWan series. That's actually happening. So we've got Ewan McGregor. Wonder who he's playing. You've got Hayden Christensen. Also question marks. But then moving on from there, we have Moses Ingram, Joel Edgerton, Bonnie Pies.
You say it, Pies.
Pies. Pies.
Sure.
Kumail Nanjiani. Kumail. Oh, there you go, Ryan. Nice edit. Kumail Nanjiani. Indria Varma, Rupert Friend, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Sung Kang, Simone Kessel of the Kessel Run family, and Benny Safdie. Wow. That last one threw me for a curveball. You may know him as the brother who can't just help get into trouble and good time. But he's going to be in a Star Wars. Any reactions or questions that you have when you see this grid of future Star Wars faces?
Well, first of all, Kumail, man, like getting into all the franchises, right? Like,
I know.
Now he's in the MCU.
All it took was an 8-pack.
Right? And now he's going to be fighting in the Star Wars. Good for him. I mean, because obviously he's like, one of us, like, lifelong geek, loves all this stuff. And now he just
movie fights guest.
Yep. And now he gets to to run around. I don't know if he'll probably won't get to hold a lightsaber, but he'll get to see one on set. So yeah, that must be awesome. And then I'm happy to see Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru return with Edgerton and Peace here. I was addicted to The Vow on HBO last year, and actually Bonnie Peace and her whole story and getting out of that cult. And this is kind of almost like a cool after part for if you were for Star Wars and Vow fandoms to unite here. Yes.
Super served. Danielle, any favorites?
Well, Camille obviously jumps out. That was pretty dope. O'Shea Jackson Jr. This is why just make sure when you're born, your dad's real famous. And he's like, don't get me wrong, O'Shea Jackson Jr. is a good actor. I've enjoyed him in everything he's in. I am very excited to see him inside Star Wars. Actors are not their characters unless they have their face, and he played Ice Cube and his dad's Ice Cube. To me, I'm looking at Ice Cube in Star Wars and I'm happy.
Go ahead, Eric.
I was just gonna say that O'Shea Jackson is he's great, very likable guy. He's a wrestling fan, so obviously endorses his presence in Star Wars, and he's in a great movie, Ingrid Goes West. Yes. The Aubrey Plaza Elizabeth Olsen movie. Was Wyatt Russell in that too? I'm trying to remember, but I just feels like a lot of these people are going into the big franchises here, so I endorse it.
Yeah, the only piece of franchise crossover I'm not thrilled with, and look, she deserves a second chance, or as we all do, but Ilaria Sand, what's her name? Ingrid Pharma. Yeah, you're in the desert. I don't want any sand snakes showing up in Star Wars and talking about the P word. Well, we'll keep that off SJU. I just have too many bad associations with that whole Game of Thrones season 5 through 7 plot line. I never need to see another Martell, except for the Mandalorian. I never need to see.
That's the thing. It worked out so well there, right? Like it worked out with her like literal like lover of her life. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Yeah. Okay. Fine. You talked me back into it. You're right. So okay, that's a sweet little cast there. Yeah.
And we know Joel Edgerton's playing Uncle, what's the uncle's name?
Uncle Owen.
Yeah, Owen.
Sick.
Yeah. But that was the funny thing.
Confirmed.
Well, that was the funny thing. Like they put Edgerton and Bonnie Peace on the list without saying who they're playing, as if they're not back as Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. I'm pretty sure we can count on them being back as those characters.
God, I hope it's all just like moisture farming.
Yes.
And weird insidery note, but doesn't Rupert Friend look just like our social media manager Logan?
It does a little. Logan should have started that Hitman movie, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to watch all the uneventful stretches that happened in between two of the Star Wars movies that this, I'm sure, will cover. Because if it was interesting, they would have made a movie about it by now, right?
I tweeted this earlier, but I just want to know, because we've all made the same joke about those were a hard 20 years on Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru particularly, but also Obi-Wan, because they had such older actors playing them in A New Hope versus Revenge of the Sith. So this is set right in between, right? So 10 years. So like, how much do you try to like age these people to account for just how weathered they're supposed to look 10 years after this?
Obi-Wan lived for 10 years in a cave. I hope Obadiah Stane shows up for that one line.
Excellent.
And then, yes, in the notes, Ryan points out 10-year-old Luke is totally going to show up too, right? Yes, he will. But it will be played by a de-aged Mark Hamill. Just
not a mocap Sebastian Stan?
No, they're just going to keep taking Hamill and aging him down. They're just going to turn the slider all the way down to child.
But they don't alter his voice at all. It's just like gravelly Mark Hamill now voice.
I'm ready for the Benjamin buttoning of Mark Hamill.
Yep. Okay, so moving on from that video game character Mark Hamill to some video game movie news. Segue. Chad Stahelski is going to make a Ghost of Tsushima movie. So that's a video game that I haven't played, but looked pretty good.
It's the best game of last year, in my opinion.
Best game of last year. All right. I'm more of a Sekiro guy. Shadows Die Twice myself. But look, this thing's still happening. John Wick director Chad Stahelski is making a Ghost of Tsushima movie, which follows the samurai warrior Jin Sakai, the last remaining member of his clan, who must abandon the traditions that guided him as a warrior to protect the Japanese island of Tsushima during a Mongol invasion. So I remember, this game, as it says, this was a ode to Kurosawa films. The game itself had like a Kurosawa mode you could turn on that made it look all Kurosawa-y. Does it make sense to make a movie based on a video game trying to be a movie. Thoughts?
Well, I've never played it. I'm not one of the people who has, but I'm excited at least that like it seems like a good plot for a video game. But I don't. I wish I knew more about this franchise. Um, yeah, it sounds like it's interesting. It seems like we're kind of leveling up with the video game movies here. The days of Street Fighter are over. So that's, as a fan of video games, I know. Bless up. But yeah, so I'm excited that these franchises and these video games are being taken like seriously, because that's what the people who play them want.
Yeah, I'm making it a 3 for 3 on this panel, having not played this game. Thankfully, voice of God Ryan has. But yeah, I actually I knew a lot about this game and the Kurosawa influence. I think, to answer your question, Spencer, I think it makes sense for Hollywood. They see that this game was really well received. It was very influenced by movies that are old. Why would people want to watch old movies? Watch a cool new movie.
They're probably in Japanese too.
Right, subtitles. So for them, it's like, hey, we can do this film that already we know the game should work cinematically because it was designed literally to be that. And the director can talk about it in interviews and the influence of Kurosawa and whatnot. So I think it makes sense on that studio executive level. And it is cool to see, these films, and Stahelski, who is, I believe he's still doing the next John Wick, right? But I mean, you can't live on John Wick movies alone. So I guess it makes sense for him to want to switch things up. And obviously he's proven his bona fides several times now with the action.
Yeah, this will be interesting. I hope that they take it very seriously and respect the material and have a lot of it be about like inventory management and like destroying 7 of 8 bandit hideouts in order to like increase your faction points and stuff like that. Like I want the real open world video game movie.
Yeah,
all that
that's
kind of
what we
stuff.
want. That's why you watch a movie.
Yeah, and I think the director is perfect because the action is a part of the story. The story is that he's resorting to a less honorable form of action, sneaking, coming behind people, a non-samurai. So obviously I think that'll fit right in the John Wick type of, wheelhouse of showing him stopping to be like a fight you face to face samurai and become a ghost. So the fact that the action is like a part of the story, I think that lends perfectly for them because otherwise the beats are pretty, like you said, it's a Kurosawa film, and then they just need to make him taking down 1 of 80 camps, like you said, interesting and stuff like that.
Sweet, yeah, you're right. John Wick with in feudal Japan with a sword is actually pretty sweet. So again, you talked me into it, but no one's going to talk me into this next story. George R. R. Martin has inked a 5-year, 8-figure deal with HBO. I thought he already had one, but and he was already doing this. But hey. In new news, he will develop more content for the network and HBO Max and serve as an EP on all the Game of Thrones projects in the works. There's lots of spin-offs coming out in various levels of development. Something that seems to not be in any level of development is Winds of Winter. Much less Dream of Spring. This is the end, right? I've officially given up hope that we'll ever read his ending to Game of Thrones, and this all but guarantees it to me. Any thoughts or feelings, or is this just confirming stuff you already knew?
It is hard not to be like, wow, he's really doing everything he can to not finish those books. And there's a part of me that thinks maybe we'll get one more, because I mean, I think he's done some work on it, but the fact that he'd still have to write another one after that and how long this has taken, I just can't conceive of him finishing the series. Like, it just doesn't seem possible at this moment for that to happen, which is weird. In a way, I'm almost amused by it. Almost because I think it'll be like in the future, people will look back on it as this crazy thing about like the guy who didn't finish his mega franchise. But it's still pretty disappointing. I still want, as much as I didn't like that final season of Game of Thrones, I still want to see how his books were going to go. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath at this point to see his conclusion for that story.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an opportunity to kind of rewrite the wrongs, if he sees it that way, of the show and what it did to the legacy of the series. So I would think he'd be jumping at a chance to be like, uh-oh, people are off Game of Thrones. I got to show them how it could have been, what the nuance. Dany didn't forget about the Iron Fleet, etc. But instead, I guess he'd like to just kind of just, or it's just the pressure of it is too much of like, well, now I have to redeem this too and like tell a sensible story. What if they hate it again? Like that's got to be tough. But man, like you said, Eric, it feels like he's doing everything he can to not finish these books. And as is his right, but yes, as is my right to be like, I'm out, dealer, I'm done. I'm no longer interested until they release a trailer for some Game of Thrones spinoff, and it looks cool, and I watch that, and then someone shows me this clip, and I feel dumb. All right, let's move on to the live chat AMA. You guys have some questions in the chat, and we have some answers. Luis Valenzuela writes, do you think they'll have Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn in Pattinson's Batman movie? That'd be interesting. I mean, like you said, she is popping up everywhere, but I don't know. I don't see her in what I know of Matt Reeves' Batman yet popping up in that. I don't know. What say you? I think she'd overshadow it.
Yeah, I think it's even if she was going to be in it, it would be like a cute cameo, like an Arkham thing. I don't see them because they're really about this multiverse, and I think that they want to. You can play fun games like that with like the Flash, and I think that that's where all of that kind of, if they're going to be threads that are threading, it's going to happen in Flash. It's not going to happen in Batman.
Yeah, that's what I feel too. I feel like if I would not be shocked if that Flash movie has surprise Pattinson cameo. But until then, because this movie Batman's coming out first, I think it's totally going to be its own thing. He's a younger Batman, and so as much as they're feeling like these movies can have their own vibes, it's like she is distinctly in what is still the remnants of the DCEU, of the Snyder created DCEU, is still kind of her domain. I wouldn't rule anything out down the line, especially after that Flashpoint movie. But right now, I think she stays separate from that.
Matan Valensky writes. So now that we're nostalgic for the 2000s, which aughts property do you want resurrected for nostalgia's sake? I suggest Totally Spies. I think we're all too old to have any nostalgia for the 2000s. Personally, when I think of like a 2000s show or movie, it's like, oh, Scrubs, that ended like 8 years ago. Oh, it ended 20 years ago. Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Is there anything that you guys from that era would like to see rebooted, either TV or film?
I don't know if it's something I'd want to see, but I don't know what it is about film Twitter, but y'all love the OC. Love it so much.
Oh, God, yes.
I
just rewatched the whole thing.
It's the greatest show ever.
I've been trying to get through a rewatch for years. I think now I'm at the opportunity where I can do it. Ryan is a menace, and I stick with it.
No, Seth Cohen is a menace. He must be defeated.
But I think that would be one that would be cool and people would be into.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the OC is the best, and I'm all for it. Yeah, I mean, look, there's just things that I don't even know if it's excited as much as curious, because I think they're inevitable, right? And everything we've mentioned, like the OC seems like something that'll happen at some point. Scrubs is something where I'm like, that's so easy to be like, you have a couple legacy characters. I know that's what they did with that last season that should have been a spinoff but wasn't. But that's easy to do something new with, and I think that show's continually been popular. I know one day Disney's going to do something with Lost. It's just inevitable. Like they will not sit on Lost forever. And I've even seen Lindelof be asked about that, where he's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to do anything, but I'd be curious too, to see what they're going to do eventually. So it's more like that sort of like, I say morbid curiosity, but it's not true, because what if they announced a new Lost with an amazing team and a really cool hook? And I'm like, yes, I'm in. So there's definitely those things
we're bringing back Lindelof, but JJ's busy doing other things. Be like, yes, we're back, baby. That could be awesome. All right, and a final question here. Jim One writes, will Godzilla vs. King Kong finally end the run of bad versus movies? I'm an Alien vs. Predator defender, but I know I'm in the minority here. So what's your stance on versus movies of the past, and what's your excitement level or expectations for GVK?
I don't know. They always feel like with these versus movies, they have to like follow that trope of, okay, we were fighting, but now we have to like come together. It's a Marvel, DC team up. It's world's mightiest, or world's finest. So I don't think if Godzilla versus Kong I think there's just going to be a million of them. I mean, if it does well, we're obviously going to see a bunch of them, but you know what? I haven't seen it yet, so I can't say if it's a bad, if it ends the run of bad movies. Any movie has the potential for me to not like it, so we'll see. I want things to be good, but who knows?
Obviously I've seen Godzilla versus Kong. I've enjoyed Godzilla versus Kong, so I'm pro Godzilla versus Kong. I think it's worth noting, by the way, that it's the first remake versus movie, because there was a Godzilla versus Kong movie in the 60s. And I guess I will defend Freddy versus Jason for what it is, which is like, they just went all in as far as like wrestling match, super everyone spraying blood everywhere. There's super goofy things in that movie, but I also quite enjoyed that movie. So
Yeah, I guess to amend what I said, if it's bad, I might still like it. Okay, I might still be into it.
Yeah, I will stand up for films like Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh yeah,
The People versus Larry Flint, and what's that new the Billie Holiday versus America or something like that, or is it the reverse? Anyways, there's plenty of good versus movies. You just have to get
Jamie Garcia in the chat has a good one. Ford v Ferrari was nominated for Best Picture. So
boom,
Ford
there you
Ferrari
go.
ended the run.
So one versus does not a bad movie make.
My my recent observation about two notable versus movies was that the Martha thing we all joke about in Batman versus Superman. It's like, oh, it's kind of very similar to something everyone jokes about in Freddy versus Jason, which is when she goes, Freddy was killed by fire, Jason was killed by water. How can we use that? And I was like, the joke everyone makes is like, oh, that sounds like things that people were saying working on the movie said to each other that made it into the movie. And I was like, 100%. Oh, you can kind of reverse engineer the Martha moment too, right? They're like, one day someone's like, hey, both their moms are named Martha. How can we use that?
What can we do with that?
And then it ends up in the movie.
Totally. Well, we're not all versus each other here. We're all friends, which is why we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow with a very important Honest Trailer commentary. One of the beefiest, grittiest, most long and uncut honest commentaries you'll ever sit through, followed by more SJU goodness. And yes, Eric and Roth will be reviewing Godzilla vs. Kong at some point this week. So we got a lot of fun stuff for you this week. Hope it's a good one. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.